I'll start with what's critically important. I'll say namaste, which is a very respectful greeting to everyone. Thank you for being here. It really is very, very encouraging and inspirational to see all of you here bright and early. I have to make a confession. I'm a believer of miracles. And yesterday I was here, finished a panel discussion, I was sitting next, and then I suddenly said, oh my God, tomorrow I have a keynote address which starts at 9:50 and finishes at 10:20. And guess what? At 10:15, I'm on a panel discussion. Now, how do I go back and schedule this? So we moved that to 10:25. So I said, okay, I got 5 minutes, hopefully not too many questions after it. And the reason I'm taking this luxury of this introduction is I got 10 minutes extra, which was not expected. Plus, I was told this previous panel was running a little late. They'll take an extra 10, 15 minutes. I said, oh my God. And they finished on time. So good lesson to learn. Now, the thing I don't have is a thing to move my slides. That is usually a helpful device to have. I was offered a second mic, which I didn't need, but this is helpful. Green phone. Thank you, sir. So, yeah, I should have maybe taken the second mic, but anyway, I can read from here. So the agenda today is I'm going to have an introduction, and then we will have on who is the leader, what is the role. Because I think there is total misunderstanding on who is the leader. Are leaders born? Are they educated? Are they trained, or are they made? Very critical. Does every leader need a prayer? Very provocative question. Because for a lot of people, prayer is all mumbo jumbo. We don't need it. I'm so smart. I can take care of everything. Quite often, that's the mindset of many people. And you'll see that at every level. Do leaders have threats? I believe many of them believe they have no threats and they are all powerful. Some of us ordinary mortals also have those illusions. What is a critical focus for leadership? What's critical? And then we'll have maybe a few minutes for Q&A, and then we'll have a final closing. Who is a leader? Where do you lead? Everywhere. I don't care whether you're at home, all by yourself, nobody else. You're your own leader for yourself to make sure your life is good. The moment a second person comes in your life, that greatly increases, and it keeps going, that's all. At work, you're a leader. And this is what people forget. They think the leader is the CEO of the company. I am just the lowly project manager. What can I do? Wrong. The CEO of the company can do nothing if you, the project manager, don't do a good job. And what is your critical role? We'll come to that. Now, when do you lead? You don't lead by appointment. You don't say, okay, between 11 and 12, come and watch me. I'll be leading. Rest of the time, don't disturb me. I'm going to be doing something else. Life doesn't work that way. And I really don't care what you tell whom, whether they are your children, your co-workers, nobody listens to you. If they do listen to you or pretend to listen to you, not much registers. I'm hoping and praying to every God in the world that something registers out of our conversation today. But everybody observes consciously or subconsciously what you do, and that's what they learn from. And that's why you need to be a leader in the right way every moment of your life. Now, what's the role of the leader? Again, it doesn't matter where you are leading. Set the direction. What are your expectations and draw the boundaries. If you're at a home with a spouse and 2 kids, give everybody a role, particularly the children. You'll be amazed at how capable they are and how much more they can achieve than you would ever expect. The same thing happens with the newest recruit who's a high school intern. They can blow you away with what they can do. Never underestimate. Challenge them. Challenging your team is the first role of a leader. Set the expectations and draw boundaries that they shouldn't cross, so that they know what is expected, because boundaries vary with every family, every culture, every environment, every corporation, every not-for-profit. Second, provide resources. You cannot lead without having appropriate resources. You have to architect. How do you evaluate your teams and the leaders who work under your management? They need to be recognized for their success and some form of rewards. Rewards don't have to be $25,000 checks. Just send them out give them a dinner coupon for 4 and say, thank you so much. Go tell your family how grateful I am, how my company is grateful to you for what you do. That is worth a lot more than $1,000 in the bank account, which after the IRS takes away taxes and so on, and the state, and the city if I happen to live in New York, and my county if I live in some of those, I may get $485. And you're paying me $200,000 a year. What's the $485 going to make to me? Zero. Send me out somewhere. I take my family, I take my neighbors, I take my parents. Hey, my company recognized me and let's go party. That's worth 100 times what you actually pay. And anytime you want help architecting these rewards, just reach out to me. The greatest joy in my life is to spend someone else's money. And particularly for good. And I assure you, the ROI on anything I spend will be beyond imagination. As an organization or family, the most important things for you practice is compassion, empathy, and kindness. If the United States as a country developed this, we will get back to being the United States I came to 40 years ago. The regression over these years is heart-rending. And half the days, it's an effort for me not to wake up crying on what is happening to our country. And I saved the best for the last. It's the one thing which doesn't cost you anything, very little effort, just be inspirational. The way you're inspirational is be positive, talk to people and say, hey, you can do this. Tell me, what can I do to help you? Take away despondency. Oh my God, in this country, I can do nothing. No nonsense. You can put me in hell and I'll make hell a better place to live in. That has to be your attitude. And I do hope one day if I land up in hell, I will make it a better place to be in. Here is food for thought and has to be an attitude. And I'm quoting one of the greatest innovators of all time, who has changed the world in more ways than one can imagine, Steve Jobs. I know many people have many negative things about him, but end of the day, he achieved a lot, and it came out of the positivity in his life. And he was very simple. He said, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. And that's the right way. And I believe the last panel, they mentioned something along this. If you're the smartest person in the room, guess what? You're in the wrong room. Now, our leaders born, educated, trained, or made. And I believe I have to take a moment and put my phone out with a clock, because I was kind of spoiled the last time. I had a clock showing me the time there. And if I don't have that, I could keep talking forever and somebody brings a stick and send me out of here. Now, all of these. Last weekend on Saturday, I was at a friend's retirement party in New Jersey. That's Minu, a good friend of ours. And out there, I see her granddaughter, 3 years old, totally oblivious of her mother, who's right there, and running around doing whatever she needs, getting a couple of kids who are older than her. Come on, let's go do this, let's play this. That is the leader. You see them. She's born as a leader. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mahatma Gandhi. I'm not totally sure about George Washington. I'm not sure how many of them were highly educated. I'm sure Bill Gates was not highly educated. Steve Jobs, I'm not so sure. Mahatma Gandhi, he was a lawyer, so he was highly educated, but what he did in life had nothing to do with his education. Same thing about George Washington. So education is not critical. Anybody can lead. It's a mindset and a temperament. But education does have a role. And education taught me about optimization and a lot more. RPI was my teacher in accounting. He was specialist in cost accounting. And I was doing pretty good in his class, and then he tells me one day, don't ever come back to take another course in my group. I said, oh my God, what did I do to annoy him? He saw the shock in me. He said, no, no, no. The reason is you already know more about accounting than I can teach you, so you don't need to be here. Instead, go and study marketing. And the reason you study marketing is there are very few people in the world who excel at accounting, finance, and marketing. No disrespect to anybody in marketing who is here. Marketing is all fluff, imagination, promise, and hope. Accounting, finance is hard numbers. Even God himself, herself cannot make any changes. It's what it is. And the mindsets are different. And thanks to Professor R.P. Iyer, I believe I'm one of the few people in the world who excel at both marketing and accounting finance. Vijay Patki is another one. He taught me organizational behavior. And both of these were professors at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, which is one of the most selective admission universities with a 99.7 percentile admission rate. And what he said, he didn't even tell me this. I went to his office when the University Institute was still being evolving, building. He had a little basement office, half the size of this stage. And on the wall, he had a cork board, which some of you may remember. And he had a yellow sheet of paper from a notepad with something pinned in there. That had 4 words, which was praise is so believable. This was 45 years ago, and it stuck in my head and stays there. And I believe in the subconscious, it has affected me, impacted me all along. Just thanking somebody for what they do, genuinely, makes such a difference because you brighten their day. And if they are people you work with, live with, you've improved their overall attitude, performance, and you'll get the payback every single day. When I fly on airplanes, I do a lot of international flying. I flew 6 times to India yesterday, twice to Europe, and maybe 10 times to California. I always have little small bags which says thank you. And in that, at one time I used to have candy, but then I found little small jewelry that I can find which is very affordable. And I put a little necklace or a bracelet or something and hand it over to the staff. Confession, almost everything I have is for women. So if I'm giving it to a male attendant, I say, I'm sure you have a woman in your life. Please give it to her and tell her it was given by one of your passengers who's so grateful and appreciative of your services. I had one woman on Lufthansa crying because she was so touched. But she was phenomenal at the work she did. So expression of gratitude is something I learned from Vijay Patki in a subconscious, and it has truly changed my life. All of this may be seeming to be all over the board, and some of you may, where in the world am I going to? Every component of this is what the leader today needs to have. The leader today is not the leader who was there 25 years ago. I'm sure there's likelihood there's somebody here from the military, armed forces, defense services. Their leadership is clearly defined, but even they use some of these to be truly successful. My employers, being trained on the job. I joined India's largest footwear company, and I learned a lot from the managing director, who was educated. He had passed 7th grade. He would come to the office 2 hours in a day, and he knew everything that was going on. And this is back in 1981, when there were no computers. They were just beginning to come that time, but he had everything in his head. He had a calculator, just punch things around, and he would tell you anything you want to know about the company. Then I got a promotion. I went to Rwanda, Africa, and I worked with the president of Utexrua, which, as a nation, clothed the factory, clothed the nation. I started giving footwear to everybody in the country. I got promoted. I gave clothes to everybody in the country. And I said he was promoted. I got promoted because he was more educated. He had passed high school. He had passed 10th standard. He was phenomenal. From there, I came to the United States, and I worked in Roanoke, Virginia. Wonder of wonders, in an electrical high-power manufacturing company called Virginia Transformer. And those of you who are here, if you walk across to the casino in New York, the transformers which run that casino were built by me in Mexico as part of Virginia Transformer. He was educated at a master's degree, engineer, and I'm not an engineer, leave alone electrical or mechanical. And I added value to the company just because of the inspiration and the opportunities the factory manager gave me. So just having the president grade doesn't help. You need everyone in the management team to be equally inspirational and giving opportunities, challenging their people. The company was 28 years old. They've been manufacturing, their transformers are failing. The factory, hey Alan, can you just go take a look at this and tell me why are my transformers failing? I want to say, are you crazy? I know nothing about transformers. I'm not an electrician. But he said, no, go do it. I said, okay, sir, I'll go do it. Sat there, worked. Came up with some suggestions, and it worked. So you never know who can give you solutions to problems that challenge you. Because one of the things you need is thinking out of the box. And that's where the inspiration comes. You have to inspire your team to think out of the box and do good things. And then I went to Indus, which is a federal government contracting company. US Interactive, which was in the dot-com age. There was one employer from whom I learned things. I don't want to mention their name, but I learned a lot of things how not to do it, which is equally important. It doesn't matter whom you're with. The best of people can tell you how not to do some things. Like if I exceed my time, you know how not to do it. And that's something we need to learn. And then I've been working with a company right now called SkillNet, doing a lot of work, consulting work, managing work. I run their companies in different countries. Again, you learn things. So the key here is keep your mind open to learn something from everybody. That's the training which comes through the thing. And finally, about leaders being made. Most family-owned businesses, the next generation may have an education, but what they really learn is because of their position in the family. Now, I was telling that everybody needs a prayer, and this is very well known as the Serenity Prayer. And because I'm so passionate about it, and for a reason I will tell in a moment, it is, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can. And most important, the wisdom to know the difference. The reason I'm passionate about this, and I implore every one of you, just say it once in the morning when you wake up, once when you go to sleep, and you will forget a 5-letter word, 6-letter word, 5-letter word, which makes lives miserable and makes you go to counselors, and that is stress. Stress will go out of your life if you just practice this one single simple prayer. Now, the threat to impactfulness of every leader, as mentioned earlier, is when you think you're the smartest, when you are the smartest person in the room. The danger is greater when you think you're the smartest in the room, and you're not really the smartest. What should you do? And again, here I cite 2 people. Any of you who has writing, write down Professor N.S. Ramaswamy. Or you can search on Google, Bulakart Ramaswamy. He was an engineer. He founded NITI in Bombay, which is National Institute for Training in Industrial Engineering. And then he founded the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore, where I took my MBA degree from. He knew what his weakness was, and he hired people to overcome the weakness. And he has openly said, I do out-of-the-box thinking, I do creative stuff, but I suck as an administrator. So he went to Karnataka government officials and said, I want a really reliable administrator. And they gave him one who had just retired. And he said, I owe everything to him that my institute runs so beautifully. And I don't care who comes and audits, everything is compliant, everything is great. Bill Gates, another genius of our times, who has done more good than probably anybody I've ever heard of. No matter who criticizes him for what, he's done amazing stuff. He knew what his weakness was. And therefore, he hired his buddy to make sure that the company ran well and finances were in place, because in spite of today, or having been for several years the richest man, he was always paranoid about how they'll run out of money. This is something which for the first time I got from a young woman whom I just met once, and then she came back in 2 months and brought me a t-shirt. And the front says, plus we give. And the back says, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And that's quoting Sir Winston Churchill from the British Empire, who was not necessarily the nicest person, but I'm amazed this was his message to the world. And I can tell you, this drives everything I do in my life. One of the things we delay often is volunteering and donating to a good cause. Oh my God, right now I got to educate my kids, I got to pay my mortgage, I got to pay my car, I got to get a master's degree. I'll do this much later in life when I'm retired. Please don't ever do that. What you give doesn't matter. Give anything. If you can't give money, it doesn't matter. Give your time. Your time is more valuable than any amount of money you can give. Counsel your child, counsel your neighbor's child, counsel your staff, anybody. Work with children. That makes a huge program. Those of you who are in positions of authority in companies, corporate organizations, start a matching contribution program and you'll see the magic. Encourage your employees to donate their time. Encourage them to donate some money and match it. Tell them if you go and work for 8 hours somewhere, I'll give you back 4 hours in your vacation. Just go and do good for somebody else. Or you go donate money to somebody, I'll give you 20 cents on the dollar or 50 cents on the dollar. You will find what it happens. As an employer, you need to do everything to improve the happiness of our team members, because unless you have happy team members, I guarantee you, you'll go nowhere. Sadly, that's what's happening in our country. We have so many unhappy people. I have to pray every day, God, hypnotize the people, make them happy. Even if they think their lives are miserable, let them start imagining their lives are good. So we'll be better. You need that positive energy. And supporting the joy of giving will significantly increase your employee satisfaction and retention. You want creative ideas? I have great programs. Reach out to me later. The second critical thing in our lives is gratitude and prayer. And I made up this word, the bestest medicine in our lives is gratitude. There is nobody in the world who does not have to be grateful for something. This is true of your employees. The fact you give them a paycheck is no big deal. As an employee, I think, what are you doing? I'm giving you my time, you're giving me a paycheck. Needing to be provocative, I prostitute my mind to put food on the table. I don't have to be grateful to any of you who are paying me a paycheck because I did work for you. But I need to be grateful you gave me that opportunity. You didn't have to give it to me. You could have given it to any one of 285,000 other people. I need to be grateful that. And that is what we need to teach everybody, including ourselves. You did not have to join my company. You have a choice, but you still joined mine. I'm very grateful to you. The fact you're giving me 50 hours a week for the salary I pay you for 40, I am appreciative of that. I'm very grateful for that. But the fact you chose to be with me, to me, is the greatest gift any of you can give me. Now, positive energy is everything. And one of the best ways to get that is through prayer, humility, gratitude. Can we do anything to grow, no matter how successful we are? Absolutely. Step one, live beyond yourself. We are human beings. You do not have to be Superman or Superwoman. Just being human is super. Every form of life, plants, cockroaches, mosquitoes, name it. They wake up, they eat, they propagate in one way or the other, with joy or without joy, and ultimately they die. Is this all you want to do? How are you better than a cockroach or a mosquito or a mouse or a rat? We are capable of being a lot better because we can think for the future, plan for the future, and make a difference. Please, let's do that. Step two, start giving today time and money. Forgive me for repeating it, but it's because this is so important. And for anyone who come late, they won't miss the key element of what I want to share. Giving is everything in your life. Spend a few minutes thinking about all the people you're grateful for who brought you to where you are today, and see how you can spread their learning to others who are blessed to be in your midst. I already mentioned, recite the Serenity Prayer. Those 3 lines will make a difference in your life. And anyone who came late and missed it, check it out on Google, the Serenity Prayer, and it'll transform your life. Apply the four-way test that Rotary International lives by. It's one of the large community service organizations. I'm glad to welcome another Rotarian here. I've been exposed to Rotary from the time I was about 10 years old in Mysore, India, because my father was a Rotarian and he was the treasurer of the local Rotary Club several times. So it's a very simple 4 questions. Anything you think, say, or do, ask yourself, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? You apply this every day to every one of your actions with all your team members, and you will see the magic that happens. These lines were first put almost 100 years ago by someone who was hired to rebuild a dying, dead organization. And he did this in applying to their competition, in talking to them, working on talking about them. And he found it transformed, and that's when Rotary International adopted it as their working lifestyle. Now, Team Up is the organization I head, and we try to help organizations. And there's some very critical part which I want to cover now, which is kind of going into my next panel discussion. So in a manner of speaking, I'm selling the next program through this, which is also critical for organizational leadership today. First, in the olden days, and I made a reference to the people in the military leadership, you better know what your people are doing, and you lead by your knowledge, experience, and expertise. Those days are gone. Looking at the majority of people here, other than maybe 3 or 4 who are very young, most of us are going to be working with people who know something completely different from what we know, and something we don't have the time, energy, or inclination to go and learn. Now, AI is everything, and AI is complex technology, but easy to use, and it's something most of us are probably not using, but some of us will start using. But it's not something we are going to learn how to develop. So you cannot lead by technology, you cannot lead by experience always. Sometimes you can. If you're a brain surgeon, of course you lead by experience, no question. But you inspire your team by being everything else that I talked about. If you suck as an individual and a genius as a brain surgeon, guess what? Nobody wants to work with you. And that's the same if you're just the CEO of your simple company which is actually losing money. And that's the time when you can least afford to lose the good people. So you need to be inspirational every moment. In the last 55 years, 1970, is when the United States became a world leader in setting the occupational safety as a key in manufacturing. The Occupational Safety OSHA agency, health agency, changed life for industrial workers in the United States. And today, I don't know what OSHA is doing, I don't know what Department of Labor is doing, because they seem to be oblivious or they are scared to talk about something that is killing every one of us minute by minute. And I'm not being dramatic, it genuinely is. The Occupational Safety Act of 70 is the US law that protects workers from hazards on the job. The purpose is to ensure safe, healthy working conditions. Safe is one, healthy is more important. Protect employees from accidents, injuries, exposure to harmful substances. That today is more important than accidents and injuries. Very light risk of accidents and injuries in the kind of work any of us are doing. Prevent illness, injury, and disease due to working conditions. Critical. I would be amazed if any of you are even thinking about it. By a show of hands, if anyone knows what terribly bad working conditions all of us are in, I would be blown away. I'm very happy to see nobody's lifting, so I can share something with you. Whom does it apply to, the OSHA? Most private sector employers and their workers, some public sector employers and their workers. The world has changed. Today's danger and threats applies to every employer, starting with the federal government and all the other governments we live with. And this is the curse of the digital age. Forgive me for cussing, risks be damned. Yeah. That is reality. This is a laptop mat for grounding. It's critical to make sure you stay safe. Come to our booth and we'll demo it to you, what it can do to save your life. You have a grounding pad, you can put it on the chair you sit on, or put it on the bed you sleep on, and that'll change your life. In the sense, it'll prevent. Now, this is what you would spread across the bed, and even couples can use it. You'll find how it makes your sleep better and keeps you from all the dangers of the electromagnetic waves around you. This is particularly of great importance to everybody. When somebody is pregnant and the fetus is developing, you do not want exposure to all the nonsense around us. This is a safety belly band that one wears, and it protects the growing baby. Are mobile phones carcinogenous? They told me never, never, until the digital phones came, and then they, oh yeah, digital phones are very safe. The analog phones used to be carcinogenous. The digital phones today are doing more damage than analog phones used to do. Earphones, I don't know if anybody here is using the cockroaches in their head, which is the wireless Bluetooth thingies you plug in there. Those are terrible because constantly the waves are going to see your phone. Hey, any message coming, any call coming in. This is a kind of a joke. You see a number of people here on their cell phone doing something. If you're on a party, lunch, in a fancy restaurant, you're paying money. You can get a safety box. Everybody put your phones and we lock it for 2 hours. Nobody can access to their phones. You could also do it in easier ways, but this is kind of a fun way to do it. The critical reality is mindful living is critical, and people do meditation. There's a lot of knowledge about chakras, auras, and other things. And there is one German company called Healy, which has a great device, which really can make a difference. Again, that is something I can show you if you meet me after the event. So with all of these, this again, OCTAPS is an acronym. It's be open, be collaborative, trust, foster trust in your organization, be authentic, it's most important, persevere, nothing works without perseverance, keep things simple, and be open for experimentation. Thank you. You may not have too many questions time for questions, but one thing I do want to do is if you walk across to the next panel discussion, which is there, it's on employee health, and there's a panelist, Carrie Williams, who has this book, Eye on the Prize. I think it's a phenomenal book because it tells you it doesn't matter what you do, stay focused on what your goal is, and that's what will take you places. Thank you all very much.